Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. How is everyone? And was your week? Well, for me it couldn't have been much worse. I lost like 10 games in Diamond. Now we're back to Emerald until I figure out another way to climb more consistently. I don't know what the issue is for now, but we'll figure that out later on. So, about today's video. I thought it would be beneficial to share this with you. In this game, we're against a team full of atrocious champions. We are against Riven, Sewanni, Blitz, Brand, and Jin. All these champions are not something you mess with. The funny thing is, at the champ select, I was like, hey guys, let's make Tryndamere our win condition. Then our AD carry jumped saying, hey guys, I am your win condition. I was like, this blind idiot, how can you be the win condition against that composition? Even if you're fed, if you get hit or flashed on by Riven, it's like we lost all our investments in the late game. But on the other hand, if Tryndamere keeps split pushing, we can always manage to get something out of his pressure. But of course, as usual, we started the game. They have Blitzcrank, so I didn't think they would invade my red side. I didn't even have Flash, and we managed to give them First Blood. I started to think about First Blood as if they've buffed the enemy champions in the game. For example, if you play against 3 champions that got buffed, it's like each of them got 3 attack damage increased in their base stats. It's as if they had like 300 gold in total added to them. So whenever you think the enemy team's champions got buffed, think of it as if you gave them First Blood. It's as simple as that. So after that, I decided to delay Sewanni level 6 by invading until later in the game, because that champion is heavily dependent on his ultimate. Unlike typical top lane Sewanni players, most of the time they're good players, because they keep poking, then engaging to kill you. This time, we were playing against an average Sewanni player. He decided to invade, and I was like, yeah, sure. Maybe thinking he would steal my buff and run away over the wall. It seemed like a good idea, but luckily my team collapsed earlier in the game, which gave us a slight edge to play freely in the mid-game. The other issue is that their Blitzcrank is constantly roaming, which I think is the new meta. And that's fine. I think the meta will converge towards a state where the support takes Smite and pressures the mid-game with their calls. Maybe that will make League more fun. We'll have one in the top side, one in the top river, one in the bottom river, and one in the bot lane. This composition will make the game more even, good, and fair. I think it would be a much better state for League of Legends than it is now. Of course, what I said earlier was just a way to set up our team's mindset towards a single goal. Because if you let everyone think for themselves, we'll all end up doing random things. For example, I think my saying that we should make Tryndamere our win condition made Nami not roam at all. So she stuck to the bot side next to Kaisa the whole game. And of course, if I see any other play that would be more beneficial than our original plan, I'll go for it. For example, I was like, just gliding around the Drake and the enemy team was just there to die. I think Sewanni wanted to fully use her ultimate, similar to us to be honest, who got a huge cooldown. So, using it on the bot side, in my opinion and hers, would be much more rewarding since she'd at least get 2 kills, a tower, and Drake. But here we are, just at the right moment to counter gank. These situations aren't always planned, but sometimes you move by instinct. You can see I'm not even doing my clear properly because I'm just seeking Sewanni, always looking for her, thinking about where she will be. So I'm there to deny her and just be a pain in the ass. Also, I don't have a main goal in the mid-game. My goal is just to stall the game to create a monster, and that is our Tryndamere. I just need to delay them long enough so that our Tryndamere is able to 1v1 Riven. If we reach that stage in the game, we've almost won. This way of thinking might seem simple and naive. How can you put all your effort into one champion, especially the top laner, the most irrelevant role in the game? Well, to be very honest with you, in real life and everywhere you go, people always put their faith and effort towards one goal, and that goal is usually centered around one person. This is how life works. I could pick another person, including myself, but going for the bot side or the mid lane while they don't show the proper characteristics of a carry might seem like a waste. For example, let's say we decide to make Tryndamere our carry. He will be the one leading the team, so everything we do is just to promote him as our main MVP. But if, in the early game, you notice that his farm is terrible, his calls are all bad, he doesn't know when to go for a 1v1, he doesn't rotate, and he doesn't think for himself, at that instant you'll be like, this guy is trash, and you'll start thinking of him like a minion. You'll redo all your plans around 4 players, and you'll decide whether to play as a 4v5 with him as bait, or switch to another carry. You could keep doing this process until you're only left by yourself. And at that instant, you'll ask yourself, do I have the proper tools to carry this game? For example, against their composition at the start of the game playing Volibear, I didn't feel like I could carry against this composition. Consequently, they would lock you in place. It's like Maokai. They have the tools to lock you in your place every time you engage. So if you're not feeling like the carry, you should look for the carry. That's the measure. Either you feel like you'll carry the game, or you think, maybe I should look for someone who can carry, shadow that person, or at least set them up for success and make the team back them. Because most people think they are the carry until they get smashed in the face by Riven. And this is how life works. Well, there's also another issue. What should we build? Luckily for us, I've been practicing with the current build, which is Unending Despair with Spirit Visage. The sole reason for this build is not to carry, but to create a team fight setup. In other words, if you get this build a little early on, you can keep a fight going as long as you want. You just need to position yourself properly, right at the edge of the range of their damage dealers. It's like you're fighting their front line while playing slightly backward, trading while the enemy team tries to deal serious damage, but you're not getting hit by any burst. This creates a situation where it seems like the team is fighting, but in reality, the fight is only being stalled by you. This build also has huge dueling potential against DPS champions, not burst or poke. They need to have consistent DPS, which you can negate with consistent healing. Right now, we're just trying to make them feel a little hopeless, or provoke them into making more aggressive plays towards us so they forget that we have Tryndamere. Meanwhile, Tryndamere is trying to split push against Riven. So far, in the mid-game, we don't have a clear winner, and it's very close between the two teams. In the late game, it will simply come down to skill level, epic plays, or their champion's pick deciding the outcome. The thing I liked about this game is that my team, the mid laner, support, and AD carry, are all going along with our plan. This is rare. It's very rare to have players willing to invest in a strategy. Usually you have your ADC split pushing, your mid laner split pushing, your top laner split pushing, and your support doing their own thing, which results in a 1v4 situation. Yes, you get towers and some pressure, but if they don't think as one, it's pointless. You're just watching a train wreck about to happen. The benefit of having a split push strategy is that it's okay to lose major objectives. For example, it's okay if we lose Baron. Why? Because if the enemy team tries to make a super play or a power play, we'll give an inhibitor, and our split pusher will get an inhibitor as well. The only thing we should be fighting for is Elder Drake. Why? Because in their specific composition, if they manage to pick one of us, that person will be dead 100%. So we are stalling and hoping to end the game right after the first Baron and before reaching the Elder stage. I was thinking about building Zhonya's, but the issue with Zhonya's is this. If you don't have a disengaged champion, like Raken or Braum, someone who can be there for you when you come out of stasis, it's risky. If you build Zhonya's, you will delay them for like 2.5 seconds. So either your team should collapse on you and deal serious damage, or they should disengage and give you a chance to run away. But just buying Zhonya's without a clear plan, hoping something will happen during the stasis, isn't the best idea. The only other thing about Zhonya's in this build is that you will get the drain from Unending Despair while under stasis. For example, one tick of the drain, possibly healing around 800 GP. If you combine that with the shield from your E-spell, you might get virtually 1k HP when you come out of stasis, which is very good and very cool. But you should think ahead about what you'll be benefiting from this item. If you think it's just a half-assed benefit like staying alive, don't buy it unless you're sure it will give you an edge to win the game. Now we've reached the moment of truth. If you're wondering why I've been avoiding fully committing and always having someone on the side lane, it's because of this encounter. For example, Sejuani just launched her ultimate, and Brand also used his. Look at my team behind me. They're below half HP and they weren't even part of the fight in the first place. So if you're wondering why I keep saying that this composition was very weird and hard from the start of the game, it's because of this. They don't have traditional area of effect damage, but they have a lot of collateral damage. They have so much collateral damage that, even if you're not part of the fight, you're still taking damage. But we've reached a stage where we're trying to make a comeback. This has been the whole point of the early and mid-game. Everyone knows how to make a pizza, but not everyone can make a good pizza. So we all know what to do. We need to take the Baron buff, split across the map, ensure no one is bothering our Tryndamere here, and always keep the pressure on our side. But But of course, their composition is difficult to deal with, and nothing ever goes as planned in League of Legends. Now we have a tiny issue. We can't afford any more mistakes. For example, we should be thinking about how to avoid full-on fights and keep running around in the jungle. The second part is that Blitzcrank will fall off if he doesn't land any hooks. Our composition is built around champions that are a little bit sneaky. We tried to get the Baron buff, and I was hoping to burst it fast enough so the enemy team couldn't get there and fight us over it. But I think this was a mistake on my part because my build doesn't do serious damage. I'm just a tanky chunk of meat. But luckily enough, we managed to get the Baron buff, and now we're applying pressure. I should be around my team, but if they're naturally well placed, you could of course type to communicate. But what's the point if you just get flamed afterward? That's my current situation. I got banned from talking to my team. Maybe I was a little too aggressive, but you can't ignore the fact that people don't know what to do in most scenarios. They get confused and just follow the herd. Wherever they're going, I'm going too. This was a decisive call on our end because right now we're trying to end the game. There's no joking around. If we don't end the game right now, the odds of us winning are very slim. What's coming next is the Elder Drake. And with the Elder Drake, we need to either kill them before they get Elder or end the game while they're doing the Elder. What we should have been doing is preparing to capitalize on any small openings. Thankfully, I made an aggressive play in the hope of taking both of their towers so that I could create an open path for Tryndamere. The benefit of Tryndamere is that with his ultimate, he can just ignore everyone and go for the endgame. And that mentality is well fortified whenever there are no towers. If he gets just one inhibitor and the Nexus, they don't have resistances, so he'll deal full damage. Unlike the setup for the Baron buff, the Baron pit allows you to escape toward the top side because of the new map changes with each Baron spawn. But unlike the Baron pit, the Drake pit is a very long path in the river, making it hard to get out of trouble. So in most scenarios, your team will likely die while contesting the Elder. Sadly, in this composition, they managed to get the Elder Drake. What I feared happened. On our side, the pressure is getting a little heavier, because at this late stage, if you so much as show the tip of your nose from outside a bush, someone will pick you off, and the team will be playing with one less champion. Their composition is like they have a virtual Mordekaiser. Whenever they want, one of our champions will always be dead. This is a guarantee. So it's preferable to be patient and, if necessary, sacrifice someone, likely the support, so that the rest of us can stay alive and hope for the best. For some unknown reason, Tryndamere and LeBlanc died for free as if they were getting paid by the enemy team. I was so confused, as if they both forgot what we had been doing for the past 30 minutes. I gave up the Elder Drake on purpose because we took their inhibitors, and I knew they wouldn't gain much from it. Staying alive and setting up for Baron was the correct play in my opinion. If you're wondering why I picked the Frozen Gauntlet, it was simply to slow down Riven. The other option was to go for damage and split push, but that could have backfired and tilted the team. Now that we secured Baron since they couldn't contest it, the plan was to set up a 1-3-1 pressure strategy and hope for the best. Sadly, I got bombarded, but that actually relieved me since it meant they couldn't target my team. As a result, we managed to win the game. And with this, I hope you have enjoyed this game and hopefully we all learned something out of it. Until the next one, peace.